Hello, this is a homily for the 20th Sunday of the year. And today the message may be somewhat surprising, but going back into the Old Testament, into late Isaiah, so after at least one of the exiles, God is telling his people that his wish is that even the Gentiles attend to him, and to use his phrase, love the name of the Lord, in other words, love him, become his servants, and that means to follow the will or his will right through each day, all of which, of course, is very much laid on our shoulders as well, and who keep the Sabbath and hold to my covenant. In other words, the covenant with the people of Israel, then I will bring them to my holy mountain. And that phrase, the holy mountain, is kind of the final aspiration, final destination in the minds of the late Jewish people. And what you have here is his wish, God's wish, that my house shall be called a house of prayer for all nations. So here you have this universal message. This is what God desires. The Jewish people have a special role, an extraordinarily important a purpose in the history of humankind, but there is more to the story, and the more is that people learn from them and learn that there is only one God. The psalm then, which is Psalm 67, picks up this theme, O God, let all the nations praise you. It is a universal message once again. It's generally accepted, even though not generally acted upon. And the wish is, may God have pity on us and bless us, so may your way be known upon earth among all nations. And so you have this longing in the psalm too, that the peoples praise you, peoples plural, praise you. And may all the ends of the earth fear him. In other words, live under his rule. Then the second reading, which is a piece of Paul's letter to the Romans, Paul is explaining that he is the apostle to the Gentiles. In other words, now you have this man who specifically is named to be the apostle to the Gentiles. And he is explaining that he does this ministry to make his own people, the Jewish people, jealous, as the word he uses. And if they get jealous, maybe they will, at least some of them will, come to accept that Jesus Christ is Lord. By virtue of the mercy shown to you, they too may now receive mercy, for God delivered all to disobedience, that he might have mercy upon all. In other words, every single person is put in the situation of recognizing, and this is even the Jewish people, their disobedience to God in not accepting his final form of revelation. And consequently, they are then begging for his mercy like we are, because we're no less disobedient quite often. And because of that, we have to beg the obedience, the mercy of God. And God's mercy in our case comes in so many forms, confession being one of them, but there are other ways, certainly for venial sins, to make good our disobedience. And that is a whole subject for a lecture on its own. Then you have this wonderful gospel about the Canaanite woman, and she says, "My daughter is tormented by a demon." But Jesus doesn't answer her. And even his disciples say, "Well, send her away. She keeps on calling out." And he says, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." And here the woman comes, does him homage, which shows that she recognizes who he is in some sense, and says, "Lord, help me." Now here you have somebody relying on the mercy of the one that she realizes is the Lord. And so what you have is a realization of exactly what Paul would write about, and he would write to the Romans about this, that we get put, even we the foreigners, get put into this situation of realizing, yes, we have to ask for the mercy of God too. And so she, you know this back and forth as well as I do, but she says, "Lord, even the dogs eat the scraps that fall from the tables of their masters." And Jesus says, "O woman, great is your faith." And with that, her daughter is healed. So you have this woman, a Canaanite, it's mentioned very specifically, and she is a representative, if you like, of the various Gentile peoples, but certainly the Canaanites had not accepted Jesus, certainly not en bloc. And so here you have this one woman who is in a tragic situation of her daughter being possessed, and she knows who the Lord is and who she has to ask to get mercy for her daughter. This puts the Old Testament longing that you heard in late Isaiah and the longing that is expressed in the Psalm, it puts those into the New Testament, firstly by hearing from Paul when he writes to the Romans that he understands what his role is in getting God's mercy for the Gentiles. But in fact, the gospel, which happened before, obviously, Paul wrote, the gospel tells us that Jesus himself had already come to that conclusion. And we are not sure how much he was just acting out a scene, in the sense that he had to do, if you like, a pedagogy to get his disciples to realize this extraordinary openness of his message. It could well be that this was a pedagogic moment, so that he acted this out, knowing, because he knew all the prophecies in the Old Testament anyway, so he knew, and consequently used the moment for a much larger education, and we still celebrate the Canaanite woman today. So let us ask for God's mercy so that we don't get caught flat-footed in disobedience. Thank you.